everybody, Michelle the Bookworm here, and in this video I just wanted to give you an update as to what I read this month and what I'm planning on reading next month. So for the month of June, I am actually pretty happy. I met a lot of my goals for June. So as of right now, I am only one book behind schedule to my reading goals. My goal for this year is to read 3 books a month, and currently I am only one book behind that. I was able to finish 4 books this month, one more than my goal. Woohoo! I'm very happy about that. So the first book that I finished was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susanna Collins. I don't want to talk too much about this one because I do want to do a review about it, but this is a prequel to the Hunger Games, and it's about Cornelius Snow and it's about Cornelius Snow, his part in the history of the Hunger Games, and kind of how the Hunger Games come to develop. It has a lot of history. You get a lot of insight into who Cornelius Snow is and how he became the person that he is in the Hunger Games trilogy. So I will be talking to you guys more about that later, so I will not tell you what review I gave it. The second book that I finished this month, I finally finished my audiobook of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I am also going to be doing a review on this because it was such an impactful book for me, and it made me think a lot. So I will also be doing a review about this hopefully this next week. I just want to finish up a few finishing touches, but yeah, The Count of Monte Cristo, for those of you who don't know, is about this man who, Edmond Dante, who was framed for treason, falsely accused of treason, and was sent to prison for about 12 years, for a very long time. And so this is his, he gets out of prison, reinvents himself, and this is his, revenge story. So I will be talking to you more about that in the very, very, very near future. The third book that I also finished this month that I will not be doing a review on. I actually finished the audiobook for A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. It was mind-blowing. I'm not even going to pretend that I remember half of what was in the book, but it was just so... It described the universe and the world in ways that made me make sense of it. I'm not going to be able to tell you anything exactly how it made sense, because a lot of it just, the way that he writes it, it's so simplistic that you can just be like, oh, I get it. That makes sense. I would highly recommend it to anyone, actually, even just philosophic nerds and sci-fi nerds, and honestly, it's was a little scary at first, just the idea of of reading or listening to this book. I remember when I first did my random dice roll and was, and this book came up, it was a little daunting, but I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too, which is why I gave it a 4 out of 5. I would 100% recommend this book. This is definitely a book that you should read at least once in your lifetime. I will probably listen to it again another point in my lifetime. It's one of those books that every time you listen to it or read it, you will understand more and more. And so the fourth book that I finished this month, I am so happy. I finally finished it last night. I finished the first book of the, is it the Secret Library? Or the Souls College, All Souls College series called A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. So this is a story about actually she's a young witch, but she's actually like almost to her 30s, I believe, and she's already graduated from college, and she's like this huge historian, and she finds this book called Ashmole 13. So the Ashmole 13 tells the history of how witches, vampires, and demons were all created, and that's kind of what everybody's wanting to know, is that just how they were created. And there's a love story, and she, of course, meets this vampire, and they fall in love. This is actually what the cover of the book looks like. And so she meets this vampire named Matthew Claremont, and he works as the college as well. And they get together. They are trying to discover this alchemical manuscript. This book was really good, but I feel like it was so fast. Like, I would have loved if the contents of this book was broken up into like 3 more books. I just feel like they play cat and mouse for a little while, and then they go directly into a relationship, and it just, all the body is there, but I feel like it's just so much just for like one book. And now, like, I don't want to spoil a whole lot, but it just, things progress very, very quickly. And also, I'm not too thrilled about Matthew and Diana's relationship. There's definitely some possessiveness in this book. There's definitely some codependency, and I'm just not entirely sure if, like, in the beginning this was a very healthy relationship. It seemed like a better Twilight, but as it progresses, it just gets kind of more and more codependency and a little bit more toxic. So we'll see. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 because I don't like books that rush things. But I will understand. I plan on reading the rest of the trilogy, so I will understand if maybe like the beginning part wasn't necessarily what the author wanted. Maybe they just wanted to like cut the nitty gritty, and then because there's like a better better plot arc. So we'll see. I have hope. I do have hope. So for my July TBR, as I just mentioned, I'm planning on reading the second book to the All Souls trilogy, which is Shadow of the Night by Deborah Harkness. So I'm really excited to see what happens in the story arc. A lot was crammed into this. I'm kind of hoping that the next one kind of slows down a little bit and we get more of kind of a build up to the plot. So this is going to be one of my recommended reads. The series was recommended to me forever ago by my friend Beth, and so I'm still working on it. My next book that I am planning on reading is also a recommended read. I'm planning on reading The Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I've watched enough of the series for it to end at the first book, so now I can go ahead and read the first book and then like move on with the series, because I really don't like spoilers, but I also, when I feel that, like, and maybe I could do a whole video about this, but I feel that when there's a movie or when there's a show, I feel that you should watch the show and the movie first, so that way you can kind of appreciate the cinematography and then read the book, so that, because the book is always going to be better, right? You already know, like, the book's going to be better, the book's going to be more accurate. And so I want to just be able to appreciate the show and then read the book and have it be, like, even better. Especially since I did some research and I know ahead of time that the show sidetracks from the book quite a bit. Um, so yeah, I will hopefully be getting my hands on that book very soon. One of the books that I am planning on finishing this month is my Goodreads monthly book that I was supposed to read last month. It's called the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. I'm 44% of the way through with it, but my tablet died and I left my power cord at my dad's. So we're waiting for that. In the meantime, yeah, so I am 44% of the way through with that, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's different than the books that I generally do. So it's a very slow read. It's kind of more of like a psychological. I feel like um, a lot of these types of books, they just do like a psychoanalysis of the main character, which is awesome, and I'm enjoying it. It's a very, like, thoughtful book. The next book that I swear I'm actually going to get to this month, I promise, that has been on my reading list for a few months now, and I haven't picked it up yet, is Covered Wagon Women by, it's edited, and so basically this is like diaries and letters from the Western trials of 1840 to 1849. Honestly, I've been thinking about why I haven't read this book. And even though I keep saying I'm going to read it, and I keep saying I'm going to read it, I think it's because I'm just scared to start my writing. Because this book, for those of you who don't know, I am reading this as a reference to a story that I'm writing. And I keep putting it off, and I keep putting it off, and I think it's just because I'm scared to, like, I just need an excuse to not write my book. And this is my excuse, is that I haven't read this book. So I need to read this book because no more excuses. Like, I enjoy writing, but I'm so scared of bad writing because I've read so many books that are just bad, and I don't want to be that author. But I mean, I guess it's the fact of it, right, is that you're gonna have some bad writing out there. So I just need to bite the bullet and read this. It's not even that long, guys. Like, it's not even that big. It's only like 275 pages. I have no excuse. I just need to do it. And so that's why I have it, like, more of a priority than some of my other books. So this will get done this month. The next book that I'm planning on reading this month, I'm going to be reading on my Kindle, which is over here. It's dead. But I'm going to be reading Hidden Figures by Margaret Lee Shutterly. This is part of my Goodreads book club, and honestly, if I don't get to it, I won't be heartbroken. It's about women in, like, women during the suffrage movement who are trying to, I think they're trying to get to the military, or they're trying to, like, move up into like the military world and become pilots, or the first women pilots. I'm honestly not too sure what it's about. I know that there's a movie made about it, um, and this also includes women of color, I believe. It's just, and the reason why I'm like apprehensive about it is because historical fiction, have, as you guys probably know, hasn't really been my genre. I don't generally like historical fiction. I've only actually really liked it recently with um, with uh, a specific author. Um, I just started reading The Lost Girls of Paris, and that's like the author that really just made me into historical fiction. But I haven't read any other historical fiction aside from her, really, that and that's not true. I also read All the Light We Cannot See, and that was really good. So, I don't know, it's out of my comfort zone. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. So many of you know that I like to read and listen to books on a variety of different platforms. So for my audiobook for this month is Grimm's Fairy Tales by the Grimm brothers. And honestly, like, I like listening to these before I go to bed and just kind of settle down and drink my tea. It's like listening to a bedtime story. I've already started this book, so I'm really excited I'm really excited for it. I think I've read one version of the Grimm fairy tales, but this is like another version, and every version's kind of like a little bit different because there's been so many adaptations, and I just really like listening to children's stories like as an audiobook because it's like someone telling me the story. So I'm already loving it. So for my Kindle read for this month, I am still reading Les Miserables, and just kind of like a reference, this um this is where I started. This is like where I was in the book when I started reading Les Mis, and this is kind of where I'm at now. So that chunk is how much progress I've made, and actually it's pretty good. I've read more of this book on my Kindle than I have like as a paperback book. But I just like keeping track of where I'm at in my Kindle through the book because it's nice to see like how much more I have to go, I guess. This kind of gives me a visual. So I'm almost halfway through with it. I'm at 44%. I have been reading this book for a long time. I've been reading this book since February. Um, so it is taking me quite a while, but honestly, I've been reading it on my Kindle for about like 2 months now, and I already made it like that far. I'm not going to finish it this month. I've got way too much stuff going on to finish it this month, but I'm making progress, and that's what matters. Um, and the last book that I honestly, I'm really sorry, I haven't made any progress, that I need to start reading again is Harry Potter et la Coupe de Foudre. Um, yeah, I just need to start reading this. Like, it's a really cute, it's the fourth Harry Potter book in French. It's a way for me to kind of keep up with my French. I think I just, instead of playing on my phone, I need to just read this instead. But I always feel like I have so many other books that I could be reading that like this kind of just gets pushed off to the side. But it's another book that is not high on my priority list that I will eventually finish reading in time. So yeah, this is my chunk, my stack of books that I hope to read this month. Um, I'm going to try to read this much. Honestly, but the reading rush does take a whole week. So technically I have 3 weeks to read all of this. But honestly, I feel pretty optimistic. I'm still in quarantine, so it's not like I've got anything else to do. So reading is what's going on. So I am really excited for this month. I will get back to you guys as to what books I am reading for the reading rush, as well as some book reviews. I am so excited for this year, and I'm really looking forward to the challenges that we have. But that's for a different video. For this video, my end of the video question is, what are you planning on reading this month? It's a beautiful, beautiful weather outside. Are there any anticipated books that you have that you are hoping to read? What's your TBR look like for this month? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Bye, bookworms!